Welcome. Now in this module, we're going to take a look at the meat of ISMS 27001, which is the ISO 27001-2013 Controls Appendix. And this is the part one of that, and we have many parts, and we'll look in detail at the Controls Appendix, which has the actual controls which all the security practitioners and all the auditors and all the consultants actually use. So let's have a look at the ISO 27001-2013 ISMS Controls Appendix in more detail. Now, this is the overall outlay of clauses A5 through A18. That's 14 different groups, and these are referred to as groups of controls. So that is A5 to A18, and we have approximately 114 controls, and these lie within 35 control objectives. And let's just take a look. So we'll start off with A5, policies, and then organization of information security, human resource security, asset management, and so on. Now, this is the layout, and we're going to use this layout to explain these controls. And there's a hierarchy within the appendix, and I'll just take a moment to explain that. Now, first of all, the first tier is A.5, and that is the group. And we have 14 different groups. So that is the highest level of the hierarchy. And the first group of controls is information security policies, and you see that on the screen. Now, the second tier of the hierarchy in the appendix for controls is the control objective, and that's A5.1. So whenever we have 2 digits in the numbering format, we're referring to the control objective. And there's a title of the control objective, which is in yellow throughout the presentation and throughout the rest of the modules. And then we have the objective, actually, which is description of the objective. And for information security policies, the group level tier, we have the following objective, which is management direction for information security, which is numbered A5.1 in yellow. And the objective says to provide management direction and support for information security in accordance with business requirements and relevant laws and regulations. Okay? And then we have the actual control, which is lying below the control objective, which is in turn lying below the group control, which is A.5, and then A5.1. And then we have A5.1.1, which is the actual control. And A5.1.1 says policies for information security. And this control in green now, the description of the control, says a set of policies for information security shall be defined, approved by management, published, and communicated to employees and relevant external parties. Now, I'd like to mention here that the actual usable information on a regular basis is actually the information in blue, which is the title of the control, A5.1.1, and the information in green, which is the description of the control. When you're looking at a lot of controls, you just look at the title, which is A5.1.1, Policies for Information Security. And if you want to understand what that control means, you look at the green portion. Okay? And then the other one, in this group, Information Security Policies, and under A5.1, the control objective, Management Direction for Information Security, the second control is A5.1.2. Now, the controls have the third tier, and that's why they have 3 digits in the numbering format. So it's A.5.1.2, and the control is review of the policies for information security in blue, and the description of the control is the policies for information security shall be reviewed at planned intervals or if significant changes occur to ensure their continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Now let's take a look at the second group. We talked about A.5 already, which was policies for information security. A.6 is the second group we're looking at. This is the first tier, and the title is Organization of Information Security. Now, the control objective under this group, the second tier with 2 digits in the control, which is A.6.1, it says internal organization. And the third tier, which is the actual control, is A.6.1.1, InfoSec roles and responsibilities, or information security roles and responsibilities. And the control in green says all information security responsibilities shall be defined and allocated. And then we have segregation of duties, which is control A612, which says conflicting duties, this is in green, conflicting duties and areas of responsibility shall be segregated to reduce opportunities for unauthorized or unintentional modification or misuse of the organization's assets. So 6.1.1, InfoSec roles and responsibilities refers to assigning the roles and responsibilities, and obviously it would refer to giving authority and delegation and empowerment. And 6.1.2, segregation, ensures that conflicting duties are segregated. And that's the concept of maker-checker, or the four eyes principle, so that one person does an activity and the other one approves it. Now, this is another layout that we're going to use in the rest of the modules and the presentations. And in this layout, we have A.6, which is the group level control, the first tier, and the second tier is the A.6.1 internal organization control, which is the control objective in yellow. And then we have a list of the actual controls, and we have 5 of them listed here. And since there's a lot of controls, we're going to selectively look in detail at selective controls and look at the description of the controls. So internal organization refers to, in A.6.1.1, information security roles and responsibilities. And then 6.1.2, we already looked at that, segregation of duties. 6.1.3, contact with authorities. 6.1.4, contact with special interest groups. 6.1.5, information security in project management. So that's the entire internal organization, which is 6.1, which is the yellow section, internal organization. So let's take a look selectively at some of the controls. So let's take a look at 6.1.3, contact with authorities. What are we trying to establish here? So contact with authorities, we're really saying, and let's look in green, appropriate contacts with relevant authorities shall be maintained. And authorities could talk about law enforcement authority, the police authority, for example, and other authorities which are relevant to the organization. And then A.6.1.4 talks about contact with special interest groups. And if you remember, we had already talked about interested parties, but here we're talking about special interest groups. And in green, it says appropriate contacts with special interest groups or other specialist security forums and professional associations shall be maintained. And this could be, for example, signing up for advisories related to vulnerabilities, or other specialist organizations which release information related to security viruses, and the computer emergency response team, which gives alerts, for example, security alerts. Now, moving on, we have under Organization of Information Security, which is A.6, we have the second control objective, which is mobile devices and teleworking in yellow, and we have 2 controls, mobile device policy and teleworking. Under teleworking, A.6.2.2, let's take a look at what this is asking us. It says in green, a policy and supporting security measures shall be implemented to protect information accessed, processed, or stored at teleworking sites. So teleworking sites could be a remote site or an office where people are working and connecting to the main organization. And obviously, there's a group of people working here. It could be a regional site, for example. And because people come here and work and are working under the same part of the organization, but at a different location, for example, they are subject to the same policies and the same processes for the rest of the organization, and we have to follow that. So gradually, as we've seen in this module, about the structure, which is the group level tier, which is, for example, A.5 or A.6, as we saw. And then the second tier has 2 digits in the control numbering format, and that is the control objective. And those are actually groups of controls. And the third tier is the actual controls. So working our way up from the bottom, we have the controls, which are 3 digits in the numbering format. And then above that, there's a cluster of controls, and 2 or 3 or 1 controls will form, will lie under the control objective. And then there could be several control objectives which are part of the group control. And we have total 14 group controls. We have 35 control objectives, and we have 114 controls in ISMS 27001. And gradually you'll get to learn and you'll get more familiar with the structure and how to quickly access the right information. That's all we have for this module. Thank you.